Hi everyone, welcome to video 3 of the Devolving the Vote series. This video I'm going to look at the manifesto policies of the first of the big parties to release theirs, the Scottish Conservatives. But first, scrolling at the bottom of the screen is the latest opinion poll. You'll see the main constituency vote followed by the regional vote in brackets. There is an estimated total of seats that's been created using the predictor at Scotland Vote's website at the end of the set of statistics. Nearly didn't get that right. Now to the main part of this video, we look at the main pledges of the Scottish Conservatives. I've taken most of my research from the pledges that have been summarised on the BBC website, and here are what I consider to be the main points. First of all, we'll start with the economy. Now the first pledge is a new Scottish Minister for Enterprise and Jobs with the responsibility for enterprise, planning, transport and infrastructure. Now this is a recurring theme in the manifesto, and it stems from the SNP's previous administration that had a small group of ministers doing a lot of jobs. It's an important role, but it's quite a department. Place duty on all public agencies to promote economic growth. I thought we already had that. Retain Scottish Enterprise, Highlands and Islands Enterprise and Scottish Development International, but merge back office functions. There has been talk that these organisations are going to be scrapped, but how does merging the back office functions make a difference? Expand Business Gateway to include all businesses not covered by Scottish Enterprise or Highlands and Islands Enterprise. Oh, I like this idea quite a bit. Business Gateway is a great scheme, and I did find a little restrictive with its remit when I used the service a couple of years ago when I was starting to be self-employed while I was doing that. Target for 25% of local and national government contracts to be awarded to smaller businesses. This is an interesting one. On principle, I like it, but can the target be reached? And can smaller businesses be competitive with the bigger ones? Because obviously they don't have as much buying power. Speed up the introduction of super fast broadband access across Scotland to ensure our economic competitiveness is maintained. Broadband is a tricky one, and having a network of copper cables that we have, it can be difficult in a country where most of its area is uninhabited to get this type of infrastructure going. So if they go fibre optic or they go some other modern technology routes, you know, all well and good. At least one further round of the Town Centre Regeneration Fund. Why? Why? Town Centre Regeneration doesn't seem to work as the public aren't consulted. So unless they do the consultation properly with the government, with the public, instead of just saying, this is what we plan to do, yes or no, that's it, then it's not going to work, because civil servants do all the planning of these schemes, and frankly, they don't really work in the long term. They don't. Increase the qualifying age for concessionary bus travel from 60 to 65 from April 2012 to protect the scheme. Well, cost is really the key reason for that, isn't it? Since the retirement age is going up, it's kind of a reaction to that. Pilot the introduction of a hard shoulder running initially on sections of the M77 and M8. That's a good idea. It's been trialled on the M40 in England and parts of the M6, and the M8 is Scotland's busiest motorway. The only problem I see is that the bits of the M8 which would gain the most benefit from it don't really have a hard shoulder to run on. Use UK government borrowing provision made available by the UK government to finish the new Forth Road Bridge, ensuring other incorporated capital projects are not delayed. Well, the old bridge is needing to be replaced to support the connection for the Fife area, so if they can get outside help from the normal funding that they have available to them, then all well and good. Introduce a road maintenance fund. Well, this policy wouldn't be needed if the main trunk roads hadn't been transferred to private maintenance companies in the first place. Then again, it was needed. And it seems that the private companies aren't maintaining the roads as well as you should do. Although the roads I deal with, drive down, they seem to be alright at the moment. Continue the Edinburgh to Glasgow Rail Improvement Programme. What can I say on that one? Retain existing Lifeline ferry services, but by making savings in the Scottish Government's ferry subsidy, partly by tendering the Caledonian McBrain and Northlink ferry contracts into smaller bundles. These are important thoughts, as these routes are under threat. Would this be possible and save money? I think it's a necessary outlay of the costs, considering how they connect the remote parts of Scotland. I don't know, and I don't think you could really save money without it sacrificing the service it does provide, so I'm not sure on that one. Require local authorities to subject road maintenance work to competitive tender. No. No. No! It takes long enough as it is to get potholes fixed. Surely there is another way of doing it. You put it to tender, you'll never get the potholes fixed. Turn Scottish Water into a publicly owned public interest company, free from government control. Well, I suppose with the privatisation of gas and electricity it worked, but I can see why they don't want to do that with the privatisation of the water boards. Well, we can see how that goes. Freeze public sector pay for those earning more than $21,000 until April 2013. I suppose it's needed. There's not many people who earn more than $21,000 in Scotland. I suppose it's really needed to try and bring everything into line. Merge regulatory functions of Scottish Environmental Protection Agency, Scottish National Heritage, Marine Scotland, Food Standards Agency and Scottish Government Rural Payments and Inspections Directorate into one new agency, the Scottish Environment Regulator. Bit of a simple name, but it's cost cutting, isn't it? Do all these organisations do their jobs? Well, if it ain't broke. Freeze council tax until at least 2013 and give residents the power to stop bills rising faster than inflation once the freeze ends. Good idea in principle, with local government cuts looming, is it really a good idea with the councils not getting subsidy anymore? Possibly not. It's going to probably be more detrimental to services. I can see council tax isn't the best option, but it isn't the worst either. And this goes on to the next one. No council tax revaluation or introduction of new bans. Council tax is better than the rates or the poll tax, but it's not the best solution. Could they really look at something else? Time will tell. Give people the chance of having a powerful elected province by holding a referenda in Glasgow, Edinburgh, Aberdeen and Dundee. Are they trying to have a Scottish version of Boris Johnson? Possibly. Create a new Scottish minister, there we go again, for finance and reform with the responsibility for decisions on taxation and spending. They like creating a new post to the Tories in this manifesto. This is the biggest one. After all the ruckus down south, this is what the Tories are pledging up here. Introduce variable student fees to make further education more sustainable, payable after graduation once earnings have reached a certain threshold. Capped at $4,000 annually, with the expectation of an average charge of £3,600. It's a big debate topic, as I say, after all the worry of the English further education system and the £9,000 threshold. It's a similar thing, really. At least it's not as costly to the graduate as it would be down south. At the moment, Scotland's fees are free to students. They just have to pay a student loan back. They don't have to obtain any fees. They're paid for them. Reduce Scottish leaving age to 14, provided pupils sign up to a monitored apprenticeship or a full-time vocational or technical training course. Does lowering the school age make a difference? And where will the money for a monitored apprenticeship come from, especially when there's cuts going all over the place? We'll see what happens with that one. Allow educational charities, philanthropists, not-for-profit trusts and parents to set up new schools and allow existing state schools to be run independently of local authorities or on a non-selective, non-fee charging basis. That's a nice power to the people idea, I suppose. Could work. Pilot second chance centres, pupils persistently excluded from school and whose disruptive behaviour is preventing others from learning. Well, second chance centres should be needed and created. If the education we have was able to tailor the needs of children better, sometimes it's a bit more rigid, and that is where you start getting the problems. And that's why the whole idea of a second chance centre is coming in, because they don't want to tamper with the education system they've got already. Reintroduce prescription charges at the 2009 level, set at £5 for a single item and £48 for a prepayment certificate, putting £37 million into the NHS as well as reviewing the charges exemption list. I can see where this policy is going from, but why would it be popular? People love the free prescription charges idea. Protect NHS from funding cuts by increasing spending annually in line with inflation. Well, that's kind of what's happening down south, isn't it? Cut health service management costs by 30% over the next Parliament, with all savings going back to frontline NHS services. Good idea. Management does overrun the NHS and needs to be reduced. Less managers, more on the spot care. Ah, that'd be a good thing. Could only be a good thing. Free universal health checks for those aged between 40 and 74. Well, after 40, cholesterol risk goes up as well as other ailments. I like the idea, but shouldn't this be extended to a lot younger? Review out-of-hours services and seek to amend GP contracts if necessary. The era of a doctor coming out to your home out of hours is well and truly over. Who needs to spend 5 minutes pressing buttons on a phone when a real person is what you need? So it would be all good if they could amend the contract so GPs could be seen more frequently after 5 o'clock. Gives every Scot access to a dentist. Well, there is a lack of NHS dental practices, so this is a good idea. Ban the sale of alcohol below the cost of duty and VAT. It's probably help off licences, but would it reduce binge drinking? Don't know. Tougher community sentences with offenders carrying out meaningful jobs like litter picking, snow shoveling and beach cleaning. I thought I already did litter picking. Oh well. Use cash seized from criminals to help victims of crime. Well, why should the cash seized go into government coffers? I like this idea. I do. I quite like it. Oblige police to release local monthly crime figures and maps. Does this make the feeling of being safe more difficult? Reinstate modernised right to buy for new and recently built social houses and local authority ownership. Well, right to buy is a good idea, but it's caused a housing shortage and should be curtailed. And new built houses and local authority ownership need to be used to allow affordable housing to the less well off. The market is too unreachable for people like myself. You can't get affordable accommodation and housing now. Abolish home report surveys to stimulate the property market but retain home energy reports. Big cost for little return. How many people actually read the home reports? Come on, be honest. Preserve free entry to national museums and galleries. If it's possible, then great, but I think the recession and the cuts may prevent this from happening. Retain tourist information centres but encourage premises sharing with other organisations. Save costs, and some tourist information centres already do this, I believe. I like that. Place obligation on Heritage Body Historic Scotland to promote tourism. Well, English Heritage doesn't really do that, and Historic Scotland isn't wholly publicly funded. Is it? Well, that was quite a bit, and I've cut some of them out as well. Now, if any of my reviews on the policies of any manifesto may be biased negatively or positively, this is down to my own opinions, and what I agree with or not. We all have them, and if you want to state your opinions, comment below. I'll be pleased to hear from you. Until next time, see you later.